Welcome to the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM. 3 minutes after high noon on Wednesday, March the 1st, 2023. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Ronald Thwaites. My co-host is the Honourable Pearnel Charles Sr. and we're on the bridge. In the meanwhile, there are a number of developments of things that you and I have been talking about. The Bauxite company, Noranda, the people in St. Anne, there's the Bauxite company.
Yes.
They are saying that if the court injunction, which indicates the people's concern for the effects of mining, that if that stands, they have no good prospect for continuing their earning, and that we, the government, the people of Jamaica, would be in breach of an agreement made with them to make lands in St. Anne and I believe in Trelawney available for bauxite mining.
Well, Ron, you know my position on that. I know that no country can survive without earning, either from taxes or from other things. However, when it comes to bauxite mining, my concern has been the way that the mining has been done, the effects of the mining on the people of Jamaica. And I have looked at the contract, the first contract, and I have seen only one bauxite company that has carried out the A's and B's of the contract, which means you take off the topsoil, you take out the red dirt, you fill it back, you roll it, you put it back, so that farmers a year or two can get to work. They leave some gully, as I have said in Parliament several times. If a goat or a cow fall on the top and roll to the bottom, there's no way it can be alive, much less a child.
So what are we continuing with that travesty for?
Well, what we are continuing with is not the mining. It's the way the mining is being done.
But then, what assurance do we have that the pattern is going to change?
Say what assurance we have. What assurance are we demanding?
And the court.
If you are not mining according to your contract, you can't mine.
So look. You know, you and I have the distance of age, and we're not shy about it. You who have been in public life for well over 50 years now.
Yeah.
You look at the areas that have been mined out in Jamaica over that period. You've been active almost from the life of the bauxite industry, little beyond you, yes? You look at the situation in your own parish, in your own district where your navel string bury, yes? And tell me whether that history fulfills that contract that you speak of, that noble enterprise that our founding fathers, Bustamante and Manley, brought into effect in what was it, 1948. Yes? Tell me whether that has been observed and whether your assessment of that gives you any confidence that that will change now.
Well, first let me say, I don't lose confidence because of the lack of confidence of others or the lack of performance of others.
What?
I don't lose my confidence because of them. Because I know what I would do, I know what is to be done, and I know how to do it.
But
let me go to the first way you talk. Yeah. It is a fact, Ronnie, that you have seen them laugh at me in Parliament and laugh at Ernest Smith when we say we cannot go back to our constituency and tell people that they live with the dust, they live with the holes, they live with the big banking, which is topsoil.
Yeah.
They have no trees where they used to have fruit trees.
Can't have crop.
Let me say something.
The breadfruit tree that you always tell us about.
That the woman used on school are tree picnic.
And she get pity me little
about $3,000.
Quantified.
And everybody was running to pick off a breadfruit when the 955 lick it down.
Lick it down.
So, I understand.
Yeah.
How you feel?
To stop right now.
You understand how I feel?
I do, but I want you to what a faithful man you are. What a confident person you are. And I say that genuinely. But as far as I'm concerned, the history is so bad that I don't lose confidence in what you feel, but I lose confidence in those who are bringing it about. And sadly, in the case of the no-randa people, which is the issue right now in St. Anne, the majority shareholder is the government of Jamaica, which is presiding over the chronic, repeated, irremediable decimation of the very land of the people. My God, that's a sin.
I will tell you this, and it may bring vexation to some people, but I will tell you this, that if the court say you cannot mine unless you carry out what the original contract says, I'll be out there leading the club.
Okay, what the court is saying up to now is take time and no mining until you satisfy the fact that you're not going to wreck people's lives, my words, by whatever you are contracted to do. And we should be clapping at that decision too.
But, you know, Ronnie, and I don't want to bring politics in it, but I recall the Prime Minister saying, you can't go there, so you can't go there, so you can't go here, so because. And many of us are happy with the because. So what has happened? They have gone beyond, knock away the because?
I don't think so. I think what has happened
is... The because then is not going to bring fruit to us?
No, I think that the boundaries that the Prime Minister announced are wrong. I think that more land needs to be protected, and more land can produce that which the bauxite industry can give you a one lick, but then after that it's done to your desperation, to centuries of loss. And that's the problem. And my view is...
You can answer that for me, you know. You can answer that for me.
How that now?
You can answer that for me.
Yeah.
Because I am telling you, I've written it. It's not published yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Looking
but
forward.
My grandmother was taken to Supreme Court because she lied down and said that no tractor not going to pass up on fair land. And there's a clause in the contract which say if she lied down, go around her mine and put her money in the bank.
Yes. Okay.
And that's before I went away.
Yes.
That's before I met real revolutionaries who can stand up and don't mind if them head grey.
But your grandmother was a real revolutionary.
Oh, Lord.
Listen to that now. This is the pedigree of Charles, you know.
And she came to Kingston, you know.
Yes.
But there's a clause in the contract.
Wicked clause.
You heard about it?
I have heard about it.
You know what the clause?
I never knew that it was as close to you. But a wicked clause. Jamaicans abroad, Jamaicans listening to the bridge and the public eye, we have to stop this. We have to preserve our environment. And we are selling it out for use a biblical term, for a mess of pottage. Yes?
Do you agree with me, Ronnie?
Yeah.
That mining could be done under certain circumstances?
I believe so.
Mining could be done under certain contractual obligation that is documented already.
Yes, but when the history shows.
But the history shows that they have forgotten the contract.
Yes.
They have thrown tractors in there.
Knocked down the breadfruit tree. Nearly run over your grandmother.
But I tell you what they have done.
And that you won't continue, Mr. Charles?
I tell you what I tell you what they have done.
What?
Where the bauxite has been mined out.
Yes, sir.
And because they haven't put back the topsoil, they haven't put one tree.
Yes, sir.
It is later, I heard Minister Charles say that they're putting in thousands of trees. Sorry, in St. Anne.
Which, of course, are compromised in those areas because the topsoil is not there to nourish them.
Well, the topsoil is there in around.
But they have to spread it back and even it out. That was their whole idea.
If you don't spread back the topsoil, what to leave those mountains of topsoil? That was what it was meant for, you know. Of
course, sir, but
you take off 2 or 3 feet,
so how we
you mold it, and then you mine and you level it back.
How we manage to allow it to continue, and what guarantee do we have now? You see, I have to ask.
I'm sorry, and I have to point at you because. You may not have laughed at me when I was crying.
No, I'm quite prepared to accept that now I know better, I will do better. And
I knew from then because of personal experience. Yeah. My grandmother, who I love so much, right?
Can you imagine?
And she's in the Supreme Court, they say, Miss, we have to go back home because we can't help you.
Yes. Well, you see, we're going to have to do it differently this time around, you know. Jamaica has a budget of over $1 trillion. Now, for our listeners abroad, let me remind them that it takes 155, roughly, Jamaican dollars to buy $1 US.
Yes.
Okay? But we have so you can do the conversion by dividing 1 trillion by 155 to get the equivalent of the size of the budget.
1 trillion plus, you know.
1 trillion plus.
Yes.
After yesterday.
Yes.
Okay. But so come now. Are you see, the voices are raised about corruption. Yes. And corruption is a damaging factor in our body politic. Okay. Let's accept.
And it's being used carelessly on many occasions.
Very, sir. But you know my problem, sir? I want to shift the argument and see if you agree with me. My problem is that corruption has to be stopped. But more than that, waste has to be prevented. Because a lot of what is not stolen, yes, is wasted of public money.
Well,
now, you've been a minister in so many different portfolios.
Well, let me get you to congratulate me for 1 minute. When I became Minister of Public Utilities and Transport,
yeah,
I know
yeah,
that every country requires a public transport.
Right.
But I know that after JOS,
yeah,
you can't run a public transport in Jamaica.
Right.
What did I do?
Yeah.
I abandoned it.
Yeah.
I abandoned it because it cannot work.
But
you can't take two 90-seater
yeah,
from Price Right
yeah,
to Half a Tree in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Who's going to ride on you?
Well, sir.
Okay?
But
you go down the downtown. Same story.
But the prophet is not without honor except in his own land.
Hold on. You don't talk where it is yet and what happened there. Right? I am telling you, if I say I'm not to say it, you cannot. First thing, you don't have the roads now.
Yes.
Everybody buy a car and may buy a car because there is no public transport.
Yeah.
They said they can't get that, so everybody buy a car.
So
between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock, it takes you 2 hours,
yes,
from Half a Tree to go to Reading.
So tell me now, sir. So we know, as the taxpayers of this country, we don't have enough money to run a local government election. We don't have enough money to invest as we should in agriculture, or in health, or in education. But we have $14 billion to pour down the sink of JUTC, Jamaica Urban Transit. And we have hear me now, I listen to it. We have, well, the minister hasn't said very much. The opposition spokesman, who I have regard for, young Bickle Phillips, yes, both of them speaking about buying more buses,
yes,
for JUTC.
Yes.
Okay? Forgetting the fact or ignoring the fact that the company itself, by virtue of government policy, has given away 2/3 of the custom of a public transportation system to the privates, to the taxis. Yes? While at the same time having the same number of staff and pouring in the money to the original organization. Pearnel, that can't make any sense.
Could I give you one more criticism that you have to make of me?
Help me.
When I looked at it and see that you can't run a public transport in Jamaica because you don't have the roads, you don't have the discipline.
Taking all of that.
Right? You don't have the mechanization. And the conversion of keeping the petrol, and you just cannot, right? And people say, but you need a public transport. Oh, you don't have to run a public transport. I divided up Kingston into 6, and I sold out, and it was running well. Well, guess what? Some people are not in a position to get what they want, so we buy back.
But you know, just taking what you say without further. You are extraordinary because you take positions that point out always the fallibility and the venality of political life, and yet you devote your whole life to the cause.
And sometimes I ask why, and that's why it becomes a big joke when somebody say you take your son out of what is a good profession. You take your daughter out of what is a good profession that you're paid for and put them into the same thing where they drive. Do you know, can I make a little appeal for the driver of MPs?
Sure.
You know how much they get?
How much?
$15,000.
Oh, Lord.
And running $15,000.
That's $150.
And they have to move at every call of the MP.
Yeah.
Day or night.
Yeah.
And guess what? They have no pension.
No, Lord. No.
So there's a whole lot of things that
Got
we
your
need.
point. And what we're doing here is to point out the deficiencies as well as
Hope that somebody.
Yes, and as well as revel in the extraordinary honesty and capacity of the Jamaican people. No more so than when we return to the public eye on the Bridge 99, we'll be welcoming the Honourable Pearnel Charles Jr., the Minister of Agriculture. Stay with us. Thanks very much for being with us. This is the Bridge 99 FM, broadcasting to the diaspora and to the Jamaican people everywhere. The program is the public eye. The Honourable Pearnel Charles and myself are the hosts. And as soon as we can link him, we hope to link with the Minister of Agriculture himself, the Honourable Pearnel Charles Jr. That's going to be an interesting interview. In the meanwhile, you know...
In the meantime, Ronnie, can I tell you something that's worrying? Worldwide, we're having a water problem.
Yes.
Worldwide. And he said to me once, I won't tell you the first thing.
Yeah.
There may be a time when we have too much rain.
Yeah.
Or maybe a time we have no rain.
Yeah.
Too much sun.
Yeah.
So that is why agriculture technically is the future.
Yes.
You need the storehouses and you need the planters.
You need a science.
Yes.
And that it isn't to say that we don't know it, but that introduces a capital intensive and a technology intensive aspect to agriculture, which is new to us, and but can't remain that way. You know, we have to be able to succeed in that direction if food security, which I'm looking forward to ask the Minister what he understands as the limit of food security in Jamaica, because Pearnel, we can't produce everything we need to eat, but we can produce more. Yes? 1 minute? Okay, you'll signal me when. Okay, so these are some of the issues. I'd like to confront ourselves, because right now we're having a very serious drought, aren't we?
Oh, yes.
And so what really is the effect likely to be on the both the volumes of food and the prices?
What you need to explain, you know, Ronnie, is that people think when you say you're having a very serious drought, is that National Water Commission won't be able to get them water.
Yes.
Listen, that is the smallest part of it.
Yes, it is, you know.
Because water run off the Blue Motor. When you go to the plains of Westmoreland, the plains of St. Elizabeth, and look and see the glistening, then you know what we're talking about.
Indeed.
When it's a dry weather.
I heard a statistic on the BBC recently that surprised me, that 75% of the Earth's water is used for agricultural purposes.
75% of
the world's fresh water
yeah.
is used for agricultural purposes.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing. But that shows you how crucial it is, and how critical the irrigation systems, the technology, the investments are to that. I wonder, suppose we had, for the last 60 years we've been independent, suppose we had we had afforded to irrigate southern St. Elizabeth, the breadbasket of Jamaica, to properly irrigate 100 hectares a year, just that. Where would we be now, Mr. Charles?
I want to suppose something. Suppose we were catching maybe 1/10 or 1/5 of the water that comes off the Blue Mountain into the sea, or the Black River into the sea.
Yeah.
No, this is water that is there. You know.
There.
All you have to do is catch it, pipe it, and send it off.
Right, so.
If that was one of our projects.
Yeah. And do it.
E.K. Powell was suggesting that we catch the water from Portland in a multi-thing at Circle Island.
Wow.
And he said that we call it the 1 mile a month. Or 2 miles.
Would have finished now.
Finished long time.
Would have run out of Jamaica.
I would have run out. I would have water coming from the mountain up there.
Yeah. No.
Wash away the sea.
Okay, so even if we didn't do that, and we're vexed with ourselves about that, surely we can do something to start. What a good thing. Honourable Minister, good morning to you, sir. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Morning to you too, distinguished honourable gentlemen.
Thank you very much. You can call him Daddy, even though he's...
And morning to the Chief Ogebe of Agara.
Ciao.
We were mandated in the house to call him by his full and rightful ancestral name.
Is that so? You tell story. Honourable Pearnel Charles, Minister of Agriculture, thank you for joining us on the Public Eye. We broadcast particularly to Jamaicans in the diaspora, you see, and I'm anxious to provide the opportunity and for you to respond to give them particularly, but all of us, a fix on where the agricultural enterprise in this country is. Your dad and myself have been reflecting that while agriculture loomed dominant and large in Jamaica's history, it appears that in the minds of many of our planners and executors that agriculture is now the Cinderella. How can we make it otherwise?
Well, we have to build resilience. We have to put forward a strategic plan that is sensible and sustainable. And we have to put in place the persons and the investment to really ensure that we are doing what is needed to build up agriculture as a significant contributor to our economic progress as a country. That requires us to think comprehensively, to look on what our competitive advantage is as a country, and to focus our attention on chipping away at the challenges, the access to finance issues, the climate change issues, the Alumnae issues, the vulnerabilities that we face, and to make sure we're giving support to our small farmers while at the same time attracting large long-term investment that's going to be needed, and balancing all of that out with the innovation that Jamaica needs now in terms of really building resilience and sustainability, which requires innovation, more research, more development, and more strategic partnerships, locally, regionally, and internationally. So it's a wide spread of things that we need. And, you know, within the last year, what I've done is define that through a message, which is grow smart, eat smart.
Grow smart, eat smart.
Yeah, and that captures the need for Jamaica to think more deeply about our operations. So it's not just productivity anymore, it's productivity through efficiency. So you will see us talking more about not just large numbers in production, but how much are we getting per hectare?
Yeah.
Right? Which gives us a better perspective on using our land and making best use of our labor, and ensuring that we have the room for growth in agriculture so we can export more, we can reduce in terms of the substitute of the import, and we can provide jobs and livelihood for the people who are making us proud, our farmers and our fisherfolk.
That's the general outline that I think we yearned for, and we're getting it from you. But then now let's drill into it, sir, because when we look, for example, at the vast underproducing, often irrigated plains of the parish that you represent, part of Clarendon, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, one of your predecessors, Mr. Shaw, said that there were many takers for the successors for the cane farmers, the large plantations. But, Minister, that's been difficult to get off the ground. What can we do to advance this process? Because our economic stability, and not to mention prosperity, demands that we use our best resources to the optimum, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt. I mean, the reality is that for agriculture, there are several moving parts. And it requires us to do several things at the same time. So while we are looking and embracing and open to investors, and matter of fact, just last month I had a team coming from Guyana and India with a great interest in money musk and golden growth. So while we do that, while we entertain that kind of discussion and we encourage investors, we are also building out a Southern Clarendon development plan for agriculture, which will see us. Yes, right now we're building that out, putting all the agencies together and we are using a grow smart approach to look on the soil fertility, the proximity to water and wells, the type of soil that we have, the amount of labor that's available, and all of the variables, so that we can identify different patches of acres that can be used in very specific ways to cut down, whether it is the tourism demand, whether it is the import bill, or whether it is a joint venture with another country, or between public or private, to provide specific niche products, whether it is the fresh products or processed. And we've started that program already with the SEJ, the RADA team, and the AIC team, to see how we can expand our agro-parks and production zones into what I'm defining as agroeconomic zones, a different concept which came out of J.C. Hutchinson in terms of his discussion, but it's now being evolved into the possibility of a space where you can have optimum production under the regulatory framework that will allow for much more streamlined collaboration with other countries, like Cayman, which where I was last week, and allow for us to target specific types of produce.
Designed for export?
Designed for export, particularly, so that we can bring in the financing. See, what I'm trying to do is, in the collaboration, we look on the challenges that the partners have. So, give an example. In Cayman, they have a dollar that's stronger than the pound.
Yes.
And they have access, because of their credit rating, to much more leverage in terms of financing. So if they have the financing and we have the labor and the land, or at least the expertise and the land, and we can come together in joint ventures to at least attack their bill, because they have only 1% to 2% consumption in terms of what they are producing, which means they have a large part of their bill being importation.
Sure.
So let's say we can take 500 acres, hypothetically, and use their financing and drive it into the ground in Jamaica, provide jobs, provide opportunity, increase productivity. That will allow for us to bring foreign exchange in here, which inevitably will help us to produce not only for them, but contiguous land that can help us feed Jamaica, feed the expanding tourism market, and export more across the region.
That sounds very hopeful. I hope it won't take too long for the plan to be developed and for the investment to follow. But Minister, I can feel my listeners, here and abroad. Honourable Pearnel Senior, listen.
So I've heard that before, is it?
No, I'm not saying that. I have heard it before, but we need to hear it again, and we need to do it this time. And the fact that we've heard it before and it hasn't happened doesn't mean that we don't return to the plow. That's one of the things Michael Manley taught me, that no matter how many times you fail, you think again and you start and you add new energy. You don't despair. But Minister, what about the cattle, sir? That must have disappointed you.
You mean the Windalco situation?
Of course. Here are we talking about these wonderful plans. We believe you, and we trust you that you want to bring them about, and then something which is a pearl, something which has been cherished.
Can I give you my perspective?
Yes, man.
That situation is less about agriculture and more about human beings, just being human beings. When you treat animals in a particular way,
it's terrible.
We have a law that attends to that, but it's really not a situation that's about agriculture. That's just about your character. And yes, we have put in place a system to respond to it and to ensure that we monitor it and that we ensure that the animals are now in a much better system and are able to be protected. But the reality is that on a wide scale in Jamaica, we just need to respect ourselves. And once we value and respect ourselves, the way we treat others, whether it is other humans, other animals, will be reflected in how we give them food and how we ensure that they have water and shelter. It's basic necessities.
Let me say this to you, Minister. If the approach that you take on this issue is going to determine the reaction of many of us to lift ourselves to the point where we respect who we are, what we have, because this one would have depressed a lot of people, which is why I interpose it now.
Yeah.
Another thing that challenge that I hope you can address. When at some stage early in your incumbency, you understood the need to reform RADA. Your father and myself have spoken about agricultural extension on previous occasions. What's happening there, sir? Is RADA fit for purpose yet?
So we have advanced now the restructuring process. Part of that is the identification of a consultant who is going to do the assessment of the organizational structure of RADA so that they can put forward suggestions on what is the best fit for purpose structure for RADA to be most effective. So that has been started and is advanced. While we're doing that, RADA has also been ISO certified, which is the first of its kind for an agency of that kind in Jamaica, which means that we are focused on raising the standard of delivery of service for RADA to our consumers, to our citizens. That's a very, very, very big deal. It will allow for us to be able to navigate the global market at a different level. And we're also going to expand across the ministry the requirements, or at least the encouragement for all of our agencies to have that kind of certification, whether ISO or something of similar nature, so that we can ensure that there's a proper training, the continuous monitoring, and the adequate management systems that will allow for us to provide the best service to our country. Additionally, I have really been working with the RADA team on the ground. Just 2 weeks ago, we were together in St. Thomas, visiting with MP James Robertson and the team out there in RADA, looking on the onions.
You went yourself?
No, I always go myself.
No, but that's very important, Pearnel Senior will remember. One of the things that attracted me to the late Keebleman was that it was said of him in derision at the time that he ran his Ministry of Agriculture out of the trunk of his Morris Minor car. Honourable Pearnel Charles Jr., if you are seen to do something of the modern equivalent of that, you will go down in history, sir.
Yeah, well,
go to Bushmouth.
We have gone all over the country, and when we went to St. Thomas 2 or 3 weeks ago, we visited about maybe 10 different farms and farmers, and were able to speak with them to get a feel of how RADA extension officers have been interacting with them to see the progress in terms of their expansion of their fields, and also, most importantly, to hear their challenges and to be open to listening to the challenges and to where we as a ministry, as an agency, need to improve.
Good.
So we're doing all of those things. We're on the ground, we are certified, and we're advancing the organizational structure reconfiguration. And we do believe that once that's finished and we can advance now the new implementation, we're going to see a much more, I'd say, effective and stronger RADA, and it should, not just to the benefit of those who we serve, but to the employees of RADA, because it's not just about the farmers and the fishers and the people. It's also about those people who are serving in the agency, because we need to retain talent, we need to be able to attract talent. And agriculture is something that really requires experience. So you could go to as much school and get as many degrees as you want. If you don't know how an onion bulb looks when it is ready, you just don't know.
Yes, got it.
And so, we are trying to make sure that the structure and the operation of the RADA as an agency is one that will inure to the benefit of the country through really making it the best space for those who are working there, and the best place for those who are coming there for support or for service.
Good. Senior
Minister, we have had some good things in the past. Ronnie and myself would have known a little more about that than you. There was a Dr. Lecky who produced cattle in this country that other countries were dying to get and have had.
Yeah.
And they now have more than we.
Yes, look at that.
Well, we don't have. The orange.
The Martinique.
The Martinique.
Yeah.
The Cubans have
the ugly
vast Cubanique.
Yeah.
We don't have.
Yeah.
So, in other words, these good things need to be followed up. If we're going into cattle, there was no time for cattle to be, as the countryman said, marga, tell them dead marga.
Oh, Lord.
You know what I mean? There's no time for the orange tree to...
No, but I hear the subdued anger of the minister, because he doesn't need to alienate anybody, but to point out that this is unacceptable. This is not our standard, and it transcends the industry. It's a human issue.
Yes.
A question of conscience.
Yes.
Yes.
So what I would like to say, that you really set rather in a position that whether you are there tomorrow or not, the standard must continue. Because, Ronnie, if we were putting in more Artenique, we'd be selling orange all over the world.
Of course, no way.
If our cattle, from the cattle, come beef and milk, we had the best milk herd.
Indeed. My cousins from Belize, who are ranchers, came to Jamaica to get semen from the Jamaica Hope.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Minister, what do you think?
Let me tell you what we are doing now. As part of the Grow Smart Trust, we are bringing in 200 goats, and we're also focused on revising and assessing in terms of cows as well, so that we have the best genetics possible.
Really good. Needed.
We had just recently the first calf born from artificial insemination.
Good.
And we are advancing processes now to make sure that we are increasing efficiency in terms of our dairy, as well as in terms of the rate conversion for everything: cow, goat, chicken,
fish,
and fish.
pig.
When you look at even fish, since I've been minister, what I did was to remove the CET that we could get imported, the better fish feed at a higher quality floating fish feed, and that has been an almost doubling of productivity.
Production, excellent.
So there's several things that we've done in the last year that are an indication of us understanding the need to get back to the Lekki time and to improve on that.
Minister Charles, where does the farmer in Jamaica go to get credit now, sir?
In terms of feed and other resources?
Capital to carry out his business.
Well, when I became minister, January 11, 2022, I had a conversation with the DBJ around identifying better product offerings for farmers. They responded by providing a $1 billion product facility that has worked, I would say, well so far. Still some challenges, but it has offered farmers more opportunity for access to finance. And they even threw into it 2 scholarships for me for students who are
that's nice.
Studying in agriculture. They received their scholarships recently.
My own experience, sir, is that the DBJ, when we had an agricultural credit bank, were open. The problem was with the affiliated financial institutions, because their rubric...
The reality is this, and I've said this before, we have to take an approach that is really more understanding of the bank's situation. And let me tell you what I mean. Listen to me carefully. The bank wants to make money. The bank would be, we would have to be keeping the bank away if it is that farming was attractive in terms of its resilience. They would be the ones hunting the farmers for them to offer them loans. So one of the things we have to do is we have to create a more resilient structure so that farming in its own natural configuration becomes more attractive to a financial institution. We do that by bringing in different types of sustainable practices. We do that by putting up agro-parks, which strengthens a farmer's ability to be successful in the production because of the infrastructure. We do that by expanding the irrigation, long-term, medium-term, and short-term, like the $4.1 billion facility we're putting in between Essex Valley and Spad. Those things are going to help farmers to have a much stronger submission to the banks. In addition, we communicate with the banks and try to give them a more realistic understanding of what's taking place. In the last 2 years, we have had a record production in terms of domestic produce. 770,456 tons in 2021. And for the first time, we broke 800,000 tons in 2022. So it means that there are things that are happening in agriculture that are very, very positive. And we see the financial institutions coming to us now asking, how can they get involved? It may not be always in the it may not be always in the traditional type of farming, but let me give you one example.
Yes.
Climate-controlled farming, greenhouses, things that mitigate against the flood and the drought and the hurricane and those kind of things are intensely attractive to the financial institutions because they can see the ROI, the return on investment. They know that when you put in 1 acre, for instance, of onion, even though it is high risk, you may spend $1.5 million or less to prepare the land. And you can make $5 million, depending on the amount of pounds that you come out with, right? You may make 2.5 up. So you see, the appetite for providing financing to the farmers is growing, and it's growing because we are able to communicate to them the awesome opportunities, but we're also building up the framework in this sector that will allow for them to be more confident that when a farmer starts, he's going to be able to finish.
Well, you know,
Minister,
go ahead.
My friend in Canada and one in New York and one in London has just called me. They want to know, all that you're saying, are they going to be able to get breadfruit? Because they're paying 10 times the amount for breadfruit, mango, pumpkin.
The things that are demanded.
This is the diaspora.
The diaspora appetite.
And when they hear that a Jamaica store open, they run because they want a Jamaican breadfruit and they want a pumpkin and all. Are we catering to the diaspora?
Yeah, that is right, you know.
The answer is yes, but there's enormous room for better structure in how we cater to the diaspora. And that's why we are now developing the agro-parks and production zones, which create a much more organized system to be able to develop and cultivate for specific needs.
What do you, if I asked you to estimate what proportion of agricultural production in Jamaica goes to waste, what would it be, Minister?
I wouldn't speculate. I'm a lawyer. I stay away from speculation. So what I can tell you though is that it's too much, and a big part of why we have advanced the project with FAO, which is attacking food waste and food loss, is to increase our storage capacity, our cold chain storage, and to improve our operations so that what someone thinks now is waste can be seen as just another value-added product. And many of the things that we are throwing away now is because we don't know how to properly store it or to preserve it. And so we are working with the FAO and working with other partners to try to introduce into our agricultural sector the type of grow smart operations that will allow for us to monetize what we are now wasting. That's the best way to reduce food waste and food loss, by making people make money from it.
Time is running. You will understand this question. One of your predecessors, my friend Minister Hutchinson, as he was then, had a formula: A-class agricultural produce for export, B-class local consumption or processing, and C-class, if you will, for processing and for school feeding. Minister, we have a huge market, 700,000 on any given day. You know, you're a member of Parliament, who we are feeding with foreign food, or children in the schools. Is there any possibility of a liaison between you and the Ministry of Education that would encourage, and for the first time at last, as a great man said, bring the possibility of using local produce to feed our children to set their tastes? What do you think?
Minister, before you answer, let me throw one more on you. In addition to what Randy is saying, we have thousands of tourists coming to Jamaica just to get some Jamaica food. They want that, but they're coming here to eat the same food they eat in America, the same food they eat in Canada. So are we catering not only to the school population, but to the high end? Give the tourist man some round leaf roast yam, you know, and some mango Jamaican and breadfruit.
So you know, a listener that is hearing both Ronnie Thwaites and Pearnel Charles pepper questions at one minister will understand that you have to have a broad back. Let me start with the man right here. Chief Ogebe. To your question, I want to dispel the thought that our tourists are coming to eat the same food. That's not accurate. Matter of fact, when we do the statistics, our tourists see gastronomy, which is food, as number one reason why they come to Jamaica. And many of them who are even coming to the hotels, which are all inclusive, come out of those hotels and they go get their yam and they go get their cassava and they go get the real Jamaican food.
Yes.
And they get it also in the hotels because we are expanding what we are giving to the hotels. In terms of the Alex program, which creates the linkages between our farmers and the tourism sector. And let me move to the question that you submitted, Mr. Thwaites. In relation to the school program, we already have a program now taking place in St. Elizabeth with J.C. Hutchinson. We're expanding that, and I've advised him that it is our intention to have a collection of farmers who, when they have excess, can be able to identify schools to provide that access. And additionally, we're going to be working with the schools for them to have their own backyard gardening in the schools.
Good.
And together, those things will be helping in terms of provision for the school feeding program. We had a program with FAO again for school gardens. And we're going to continue and expand on that to make sure that we can ensure that our children, one, understand about agriculture, that they're exposed to farming, and that they're able to eat smart. Remember, it's not just grow smart, it's grow smart, eat smart.
Do you believe in centralized marketing? Previously, ministers of agriculture, both political persuasions, have all promised to reopen the AMC or some modern iteration of it. What do you see, Minister?
I believe in success. Whatever makes sense. Right now, I haven't been provided with the evidence that doing it the way it has been done before is the most sensible. If I get that tomorrow, let's run with it. I'm not emotionally attached to anything. I just want success for the country. So we're looking at formulas that right now will allow for us to bring in private sector support, and it would allow for us to be able to create the environment that will encourage longer-term investment and provide the financing needed for AMC and other complexes to unlock their potential. And that's all I'm focused on, just whatever is going to make the best sense for the country.
Give us a last word on the progress to curbing predial larceny, please.
We're down the wicket with that. I mean, just yesterday I had another meeting. It's my intention to have a blitz in terms of the National Animal Identification Tagging Program. We're doing the amendments to the law, and we are putting in place now a cabinet submission that will be asking for us to get some funding for the Agricultural Wardens Program to be reinstituted, and for us to put the innovation and the technology into predial larceny prevention, while reinvigorating the farmers associations across the country so that farmers can collaborate to protect their farms and protect their families. All of those things come together with a committee that we have put in place of specialists who will work with Superintendent Pasco and the predial larceny prevention team at the ministry to continue to train our police, to continue to train our farmers, and continue to see how we can put in place the fencing and other things to advance situational prevention. So several things. I can't do it in 1 minute, but it's a priority for us. And we are going to make sure that as we move forward, we try not just to catch the person who is stealing the cow, but most importantly, we want to catch the one who's buying it.
There
can be no market for stealing if you don't have a market to sell it.
Got it.
So I want it to be known.
That's a very good. That's a very good one.
Indeed. First Minister of Agriculture, in my experience, who has been prepared to come and explain his portfolio and his performance to the people. Thank you so much, Minister. Really appreciate this.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to both.
All the best.
All the best to your listeners.
Good. The Honourable Pearnel Charles Jr., Minister of Agriculture. We'd like to do this with every Minister of Government. Why don't we make Mr. Charles the first of them? This is a way in which government, the people with the power of finance and the state of governance, explain themselves and build confidence, the people, particularly abroad. Time for the break on the Public Eye. This is The Bridge. When we come back, the global connection with Irwine Clare at Irie Jam. Soon come. This is the Public Eye with the Honourable Pearnel Charles and myself as we join our friends at Irie Jam Radio. Where's Irwine Clare? Greetings to you.
I am right here, gentlemen. I'm right here. And let me tell you, brought back some warmth with me yesterday, but I think it rubbed off already because I landed to some white stuff yesterday morning. So we're in the throes of winter. It didn't get any warmer this morning. It just got colder. So here I am.
Listen to me. The trouble is that you people don't believe in purgatory, you know. you need a spiritual state that elevates the notion of
I was just representing you to the Minister of Agriculture.
I heard you, man. You're talking about
heard me. You heard me.
For the pumpkin and banana.
You and Steve McDonald.
I put in your demand for more food.
And I hope as a child he listened to you too. I know he's minister, but he should still listen to his parents.
Randy will do a little better than me. Randy will do a little better than me with him.
Okay.
I doubt it.
Right.
It was a good interview.
Indeed.
Yes, happy to be with you, Irwine Clare.
Sure.
Sorry about your inclement weather, but I believe spring is soon to emerge.
We look at it this way. It's a flight away to Jamaica.
A flight away to Jamaica.
Yeah, that's right.
That's great. That's the best thing.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm sorry to say that I see the American political apparatus disintegrating, and we so highly regard in Jamaica things that happen north of the border that it is a continuing cause of concern. But nonetheless, you perdure, and we trust that you will continue to be the shining example, of liberty.
Yeah, indeed, especially in these times when the asylees are truly in charge of the asylum, and when you see our leaders with significant roles and positions with a lot of power in their hands, saying things and doing some things that goes contrary to what the nation is all about, and even to their own party's philosophy as we knew it. These are the days we're in. And, again, we would have recalled having conversations on these platforms, what of the persons in the center. It makes it a lot harder for those in the center to balance both what's going on either side.
The scripture says that we mustn't weary in well-doing, and therefore it's important that we see the work of the Jamaican diaspora, the Caribbean people more broadly. Even in adverse circumstances, you keep on doing the right things for yourselves and for your native lands. Team Jamaica Bickle is one such.
Indeed, and organizations like ourselves, and we're part of a plethora of Jamaican organizations that consistently delivers. And I say that from whether the healthcare, education, the whole aspects of sports philanthropy, down to helping the individual on the street or from their respective communities. These organizations are there for that purpose. And that's where I segue back to the whole, and I saw recently where the minister with that responsibility spoke of the diaspora policy, which is something in the next weeks or so, gentlemen, we need to spend some time on. What is the diaspora policy, and how do we integrate the diaspora into management, policy making situations in Jamaica, if not voting?
First of all, just to set up straight, the elections for the Diaspora Council recently, were they well supported or only marginally supported? Do you know?
I don't think either of the answers you gave there would address what the results. If you're saying that, if we boast that there are 1 million folks in the diaspora, and let's give or take 500,000 in the New York tri-state area, all right? Well, there are more people who attended church at Lenox Road Baptist Church on Sunday than who participated in the elections for the whole Northeast.
Lord have mercy. I admire your subtlety, but the point is absolutely clear then. Wow. Well, okay. But nevertheless, an effort was made.
Yes,
People are in place or to be put into place.
Yes.
And the questions that you ask, how can you have a more distinct and pervasive role in policy making and execution than rather than simply being humoured for your philanthropy?
And that has been the questions asked, the conversations around, and sometimes we may get off and people talk about voting, but I'm not one of those persons who is at that point yet. We're still in embryonic stages, I believe, in building out the relationship. Many inroads have been made, just that some have not been followed up the way they should have.
Well, I have two strong suggestions, and because time is limited, and we have the eminent Mr. Charles here, I want to put it. First of all, the proscription, the forbidding of persons with American citizenship from being elected to office in Jamaica, that has to go.
Agreed.
Yes. That has to go. I moved a motion to that effect in the Parliament presided over by the Honourable Pearnel. It didn't see the light of day on either side, but it is time now, because your loyalty is not compromised by the fact that you are a dual citizen. That's the first thing. And that is something that the Jamaican people and the Jamaican Parliament can deal with. Secondly, we're in the throes, we are told, I'm very nervous about it, of constitutional reform. And one of the areas of constitutional change must be that you have 3 Senate positions which are assigned to diaspora representatives. We can argue about how they should be chosen, but that the externalities of the Jamaican population in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom ought to have a presence in the upper chamber of the House as a start.
Indeed.
For policy influence and transparency and accountability.
Without a doubt.
You know, Randy, I'm not sure that I am excited about the Senate as you, because for somebody to leave America or Canada to come to a meeting on Friday and wait 2 days and call again, it might be difficult.
Well,
they have to get involved in government, and it does not have to be in the political part, because that is, to me, not the best part. Right? Let's take a look quickly. Right now, the diaspora executive who joins the government in Jamaica will be able to tell us what is needed in Canada, what is needed in America, what is needed in Britain, when it's needed, how, and guide it, right?
Is it working?
And a lot of things. It's not to come in Parliament for 2 hours and put up yes, no. To me, it's an involvement in the governance of people and guide it as to how the relationship between those who have gone abroad and those who are here, how we can work together.
Well, I see it a little more broadly than that. I think the height of guidance is the representative role, and that's why I suggested position in governance. And second, is not just what they need. It is it is the diaspora who's bankrolling this country, Mr. Charles.
Yeah. Yes,
and therefore the diaspora. If I am bankrolling you, your company, your enterprise, then without any arrogance or hauteur or demand to be first place, you must give me a place at the table.
On the board. You see, gentlemen, this is. But hold on, Mr. Charles. This is you're probably saying it in a different way, but here's the deal. We recognize that the whole framework as it is set up does not allow for Jamaicans anywhere in the world to participate in the political or the voting in Jamaica unless they are home physically and subscribe to the domicility rules and all that. But in the absence of that, is that as it is right now, 37%, and this is what the economy says, of the GDP is the contribution of the diaspora. There's no seat at the table. Even at the policy level, I go further, even on school boards, even on school boards. What we're saying is that if we can take small steps to become comfortable with each other. So get us involved in some of these, at these levels where policies are being determined, and get acquainted, and we build from there. But even as we speak right now, when you consider the contribution, so education alone, there's no persons in the diaspora from these groupings, and I'm not talking about the consultants and whoever individuals of high stature that may be snagged from time to time. I'm talking about organizations now that are the backbone of response for tablets, response for laptops, response for many things that education requires, and even training, conferences. At least get some of these folks on some of these policy boards. I think it sends strong messages as to how we can build up partnerships.
Irwin, if you're seeking 10 votes, I mark 10 of them for you, because trust me, that is where I think.
You hear this bogus voter?
No,
I thought he was going to say 11.
That is where I think we need to go.
Yeah.
Right? It's not only in agriculture.
Yeah.
It's in education.
Sure.
It's in export.
Yeah.
It's in import.
That too.
It's in funding the amount of money coming here.
Yeah.
Right?
So I want
guide him.
I want the Jamaican American, or Jamaican Canadian or Jamaican English subject. I want them to feel that they have not left us, but that they are dual in every respect. That they have a probative finger presence in our affairs as well as in the affairs of, as much as I recommend what Irwine Clare has been doing to register Jamaican nationals as American citizens wherever possible. Now, that technology, modern economy allows us to do that. Policy should not be behind that. It should be along with it.
That doesn't stop us from doing that now.
But we don't do it?
Every American who is connected to Jamaica can come to Jamaica and get his passport.
Yes.
My granddaughter, who is now on the reggae girl team.
Good. Yes, can do that. Proud of her.
But that's how she come up.
She's an example.
Pearnel Charles is her grandfather.
Yes.
Yeah, well so, now because she don't have football skills because of you. No. Let's keep that. Let's separate. All right, let's separate that now.
No, but what I'm trying to do is to be very practical.
Yeah.
And to say these are things that can happen right now. Yes, and if we're reviewing the Constitution, a process of which I repeat again, I'm very nervous because of the hands that seem to be.
But when you say it, man, because let me say this to you.
I said it.
To me, right now, the involvement of our brothers and sisters abroad need to be ministerial rather than Senate. They need to come and have
we have
in the board.
Yeah, but you have
sit
to
in the board. This one meeting for 2 hours and they vote them and gone. No. To me, I'm not worried about that. I want them to come where they can make a suggestion. They can say, look here, right now, we need 15 tons of food in New York. And this is how we're going to get it.
Well, okay. I'm if you want to run faster and get to the finish line quicker than me, that's fine. I'm looking at stages that are building. One story and the other, but I appreciate what you're saying.
Because you see, again, we must remember that we need to build confidence amongst ourselves. And I'll be the first to tell you that putting on projects like that or suggestions like that, there'd be significant pushback in our society. I need to build the capacity to get to that level. But we're up to a global break, gentlemen. We're going to do that now.
This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99, linking for the global connection with Irwine Clare and Irie Jam in New York. We soon come back.
This is Irwine Clare on Irie Jam. As we await the reconnect with our friends on the bridge, it's the Public Eye. Every Wednesday, we connect with the Bridge FM Irie Jam here in New York to the Bridge 99 FM in Jamaica.
And we're happy to be here.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yeah, I hear you have a nice lady to introduce to us.
You know, let's be careful. You know, these are times that we call me too, we too, us too. So I don't know what nice lady you're talking about.
What?
We're two Jamaican man, you know.
You're getting nervous?
Yeah, I'm always nervous when I hear statements like that, of course. Huh?
I can recommend Ronnie. You don't have to be nervous. Ronnie will pray.
I pray too. Pray.
Take her to the throne of grace.
No, it's me. Me must go to the throne of grace. Anyway, gentlemen, it is indeed our distinct honor and privilege. Yes, I do have in studio here, unlike you gentlemen, when you have had past experiences of fine persons in studio, I've had to sit here and watch, so it's your turn to watch and listen. And she is vice chair of an organization Ronnie mentioned earlier, Team Jamaica Bickle, Inc. She's a patent attorney and president of Immaculate Conception High School Alumnae Association. She is a commercial litigator, gentlemen, so she knows her stuff. And one of the, aspiring, aggressive, industrious young women in our society. Part of what we would call, Ronnie and Pearnel, the next layer of leadership within our community, if not already. We want to welcome Miss Karen Wilson Robinson, Esquire, to our conversation.
Miss Karen, tell Irwin flattery will get him everywhere.
And it works.
Indeed. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
I believe everything you say, Ernie. I believe everything.
And of course, the biggest accolade is her connection with Immaculate Conception, isn't
Absolutely.
it? That's wonderful. Both of you, tell us about Team Jamaica Bickle. We've heard of it. Some of us know a bit more, but our audience needs to understand the background and the operation and the fidelity that you're showing to the Jamaican cause.
Absolutely. Team Jamaica Bickle is a not-for-profit organization that was started since 1994, so we're in our 29th year. And it's an organization that provides a wide range of services for our student athletes who attend the Penn Relays. We provide through what we call is our hospitality initiative program. So we provide all their meals while they're here. We provide all their transportation from the airport to the hotel and from the hotel to the field. So our students and our coaches don't have to think about those aspects while they're here. We provide physical therapy, chiropractic services,
Really?
Mentorship, medical services as needed. And we're just mentorship. We're there all around for their needs as they're in let's say here, so it kind of minimizes the angst of having to think about every little nuance that would be needed when the athletes are here to participate. They can really just focus on what they're here to do, and it's to compete on that track and make us all proud.
Well, you just answered the question, because I was going to ask you, why do you do it? It must cost a lot of money. It's a tremendous amount of investment of time. There's something deeply spiritual about this.
It's truly a labor of love. Everyone that's involved are volunteers. We're here on our own time. Nobody gets paid. So it really is a labor of love because of our interest in building our nation, really just making sure that our student athletes are well situated when they're here to participate at Penn.
What's the future? To continue doing that good work, or do you see new horizons for it, Karen?
Well, it's Penn Release has been around for what now, 150 years.
Wow.
So I don't see it going anywhere. This year they've made some changes which bodes well for the future, in that they have kind of flipped the script in having our female athletes compete on Thursday and Saturday, so they get, I guess, top billing. They'll be on the main stage, so to speak, whereas our male athletes have always enjoyed the camaraderie and the roar of the crowd. Our female athletes will be getting that experience this year. So Penn Relays is evolving, so I anticipate that there'll be more to come. There's always talks of other meets, etc., but I don't anticipate that the Penn Release is going anywhere anytime soon.
What's the significance of the Penn Relays, and by extension the engagement of Team Jamaica Bickle in the Caribbean community, in the mood of people towards their homeland?
It's an opportunity for our athletes to be exposed to the wider world. It provides an avenue for a lot of our athletes to gain the exposure that leads to scholarship opportunities. A lot of these athletes have never been outside of their communities. So coming out and seeing what's out there often gives them that impetus to aspire for more. And they can use athletics to, help them to better their situations per se, or to just realize that there's more out there for them. Most of our athletes come from our inner cities because track and field is a sport that I dare say you don't need a lot of money to become involved. You just need, sometimes they don't even have the sneakers, but technically you just need a good pair of sneakers to be able to run well. So a lot of these students that participate are often students that are not exposed outside of their environs unless they come out and participate at Penn. And they see the possibilities, they see the opportunities, and they're often given those opportunities to go to college and make a good life for themselves and their families.
How do you manage to fund this enterprise? Because what you've outlined as your provision is a very expensive enterprise. Well, how do you manage?
Before she answers that, gentlemen, this is a time of year when people see me coming or calling, they tell their secretaries, tell him I'm not here. Because I'm begging money.
Okay.
In the past, we've relied on sponsorship and donations, but as you can imagine, like anything else, our operations have evolved. When Irwine started, they started with a little meal truck. Now we have a whole enterprise, so it is very expensive to the tune of about $150,000 US. So we have to fundraise, and that leads us to our upcoming fundraiser, which is April 16th, Sunday, April 16th, at the Crest Hollow Manor. We're having our Labor of Love Luncheon, we've coined it, looking to raise these funds to help us with our endeavors. It's Sunday, April 16th at Crest Hollow Country Club at 12 noon. Doors open at 11:30, and tickets are $175, and their tickets are now available on Eventbrite. So people can go on Eventbrite and just put in TJB Labor of Love, and they can purchase their tickets there. Or they can call our numbers 347-678-3546 to purchase tickets. So,
and Karen, as we speak on that, the whole bit of fundraising, it should be noted that when we initiated Team Jamaica Bickle, companies out of Jamaica, Capital Credit Merchant Bank, was one of the first companies to support us.
Ryland
Campbell.
Yes.
Followed by companies such as Victoria Mutual Billing Society. We have worked with, and then Grace Kennedy.
Yes.
We brought Grace Kennedy to the Penn Relays. Now Grace went on to become the first Caribbean company to be a participating sponsor at the Penn Relays. So we've had those type of established relations.
I like that, but let's pause a minute, please, because it's one thing that we rely upon the generosity and the philanthropy of the people who will come to your dinner, and so on. But where it becomes reciprocal, where we are contributing to the benefit of our own people and matching, if not in actual dollar amount, at least in verve and energy and dollars, some dollars, what you're doing there, that is a righteous relationship, Irwine Clare, Karen Wilson. That makes sense. I love that. That has a bigger significance, more than the hamburgers and this and the saltfish and ackee that you give.
The only thing I want to say in this point, I really want to say the bridge.
Yeah.
This nation, this state, this station has opened my eye, my brain to so much, and it's right across. Because for what Irwine is telling us, this lady is doing for others. How would we know?
Right. This is it.
And gentlemen, one of the things, we accord Team Jamaica Bickle. We don't. When folks work with Team Jamaica Bickle, there is no exclusivity here. For example, our founding partner is Caribbean Food Delight, Vincent Hosang and his foundation.
Again,
and they've been with us from day one to present. we actually cook food down there. One year I remembered, I think it was the year when Usain Bolt came to Penn, when every seat in the house was sold. We actually had yam shipped up for us from Trelawney, gentlemen. And I was one of the roasters of the yams, I remember. All right? And we roast the yam down there. We had our little white boys and girls come down to the tent to see what Usain Bolt and our athletes were eating. We show them the Jamaican patties and the yellow yam. They put the yam on them head, they want to kiss the yam, they want to bite the yam. The whole works.
And one of two of them try to run like Bolt.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. But the point here, what I'm saying here is that we have always accorded Team Jamaica because a platform showcasing our talent, our services, and all that is good for Jamaica. Last year, in fact, it was 2012 that Team Jamaica Bickle hosted the first, and this was the first for Pearnel too. And this is Pearnel, the stadium is the oldest stadium in the United States. For the first foreign leader to attend Pearnel was Portia Simpson Miller in 2012, and the second foreign leader to attend Pearnel was Andrew Holness in 2022.
Good.
Yes. Significant distinctions.
Listen, I understand that you choose an exemplary leader in athletics to give an award to.
Yes.
Indeed. And,
Karen, tell us about that, please.
Absolutely. This year we'll be recognizing Aileen Bailey, our Olympian. She's represented Jamaica on multiple winning teams and is really considered the reliable warrior, so to speak. And it's long coming. You know, we want to make sure we give our folks their flowers while they're here to accept it and appreciate it. So we will be recognizing Aileen, and we'll also be recognizing Miss Pat Chin of VP Records.
My Lord.
For her pioneering role in reggae music. So we have these stalwarts in our society that's contributed greatly, and we seek this opportunity to recognize their contribution. And Miss Patchen is also a supporter of Team Jamaica Bickle.
I tell you, we're not ordinary people, you know.
No, man. I want to tell you, too, is that our relationship with VP Records, where we look at how we can partner with entities and how we bring in other brands, other services to Penrith. Music and sports are undeniably go hand in hand. And for the past several years now, we work with VP Records. We have brought, we have had 2 artists so far that we have labeled ambassadors for Team Jamaica Bickle in Romain Virgo and Chris Martin. And we continue to provide a platform for reggae artists. One artist we're hoping we can let him know that he should be in New York at that time. And if his folks are listening right now, it's a great platform, it's a great recognition. It's Kabaka Pyramid. So I'm just throwing that one out there. Putting pressure on his people. But the point here is that the platform of Team Jamaica Bickle, over the years, gentlemen, we have brought into the Penn Relays and into the city of Philadelphia, the 6th largest city in the United States, JAMPRO. We have brought in the Tourist Board, and we have also brought in the Stock Exchange.
Yes.
All right.
Really?
These are elements. The first time the foray into the tri-state area of the stock exchange was to the Penn Relays, and we have done so with many other entities. And to the extent where, when the Prime Minister was here last year, Luncheon was hosted, and I was pleased to say this, and we take this as a distinct honor, when the Prime Minister publicly indicated that as a result of him being there was for him being there was as a result of the inroads of the volunteers and folks at Team Jamaica Bickle on the impact in Philadelphia.
Yes.
So,
Karen Wilson Robinson, why do you do this? What does it mean to you personally?
You know, one thing we learned at Immaculate and, you know, church and growing up is that to whom much is given, much is expected. And for me, it's my way of giving back. I've been fortunate, I'm blessed, and I love track and field, and I love, you know, interacting with our athletes. I love seeing what they are capable of doing. I love watching their progress. So it's my way of giving back to say I'm grateful and, you know, gratitude for what I've been given, and all the folks who helped me to be where I am today. I am happy to stretch that hand back and help other folks as they make their journey.
Now, just suppose that spirit, so easily stated but so deeply felt, suppose that was the mantra, that infected the soul of all our people here and abroad. My Lord, heaven would have come to earth, wouldn't it? Isn't that nice? And yet, and being so entirely possible. Yes?
Well, I mean, there are lots of folks out there like me. All our volunteers, they give of themselves, and we appreciate that. So, yes, it would make a difference in the world if we all thought this way.
Huge.
Ronnie, let's take a quick break now, because when we come back, I want to touch on Karen to share with her expertise in the whole aspect of her being a patent attorney.
Yes.
And I think that's significant.
We need to know what that is.
Yes.
Thanks for being with us on the Public Eye on the Bridge 99 in Kingston, Jamaica, radiating all over the globe, and rejoining Irwine Clare and Irie Jam and Karen Wilson Robinson, our special guest. Irwine, are you there?
Yes, I am. And just before we broke the last time, I did say that we wanted to get some information from Karen, who I was corrected is an intellectual property rights attorney as well.
Stush as it goes.
Immaculate.
But many of our people listening will not understand what intellectual property law is, and as to what a patent is, they think it's some kind of shoes.
That's true. So intellectual property rights covers the things of your mind. So it's your creativity, whether it be an invention, which is covered by patents, or your name and your brand, which is covered by trademarks, or your artistic expressions, your music, a play, your poetry, dance. Those are covered by copyrights. So my practice focuses on protecting those rights, your inventions, your brand, your name, especially if you're an artist and you're using a certain name and you want to ensure that no one gets the economic benefits of what you've built up, you can get a trademark registration for that. Or your music, oftentimes a lot of our artists don't think about protecting what they've put out in the public domain until there's a problem.
Yes.
So being able to be proactive in getting those copyright registrations before you release your music, before you release your script for a play or any of your artistic expressions, that's what I cover, so that I can proactively protect you before you find yourself in a situation where someone else is trading on your rights and getting the economic benefits of what you have created.
But nowadays, Ms. Karen, the technology means that my invention, my production, whatever it is, my idea is radiated across the globe at the click of a button. How on earth does legal protection protect me or guarantee me anything off of that? Has intellectual property almost been overtaken by the ubiquitousness of technology?
No, it just makes infringement a lot easier than it has in the past. But what we try to tell folks is before you start clicking and before you start putting it out on social media or sharing it widely, you want to ensure that you have those protections in place. But all is not lost if you don't, because oftentimes you have to show who was using or who had it first. So if you have good documentation of what you've done or what you've put out there, we can probably salvage it. But to avoid all of that, we suggest that you protect it before you let it out in the public domain, so that you avoid, a lot of people will say, well, I don't have the money to do it. And what I tell people, you don't have the money not to, because it becomes much more expensive to correct what has been done or to go after folks who have infringed on your rights, rather than doing it at the start. A lot of our folks don't think about the business end of what they do. They're so excited about what they've done. They don't think about protecting it and the business end of ensuring that they themselves and their families are the ones who benefit from what they've created.
So when you're protected by patent or by copyright, depending on the nature of your product, you are in fact creating an asset.
Absolutely.
Yes. Mike Henry, the redoubtable Jamaican politician, he has always insisted upon this, because as a book publisher, he wants to monetize the assets that can only be assets if they are protected against the predation of pirates. Am I right?
Absolutely, and that's what happens where we don't think about the business end of what we've done. We're often happy about getting, for a recording deal. We don't think about, well, wait a minute, I wrote these lyrics. or someone approaches us and say, well, I'd like to use this, or sometimes they don't approach us, they just take your music and they're using it on a soundtrack, or they're using it in their works without asking your permission, and then you're like, oh, I'm excited to hear my stuff in this popular recording, but what about the fact that they're earning the money and you aren't?
No, Irwine Clare, I know that your condign ambition always has been to bust a tune. So, so you're getting the legal help that you need now.
and that's why Team Jamaica Bickle have all those things in place.
Oh, is that so? Well, that's good. You made sure of yourself and brought it in house.
Indeed. No. But gentlemen, just before we get to the top, and I wanted Karen to share with us, there's a project in Team Jamaica Bickle about AEDs, defibrillator machine. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. So, we may all recall when Javon, oh my goodness, his last name escapes me right now. Javon McKenzie collapsed in Tobago at a meet. He was a St. Jago student. Mm-hmm. It kind of propelled us to think about these incidents and how we can help. And we started an AED donation program, and St. Jago was the first beneficiary of that.
AED is?
Automatic external defibrillator, which is what's used to restart the heart if there's a collapse. Hopefully, it can help give some emergent help before they get to the hospital, or a more seasoned professional is able to arrive on the scene. Since then, we have given over 100 units. We typically do our donations in October. And it's our endeavor to have one in the hands of every high school across Jamaica, because there's so many athletic activities. Also involved in the Dominic Alexandra James Foundation, which, as you know, Dominic was a young man who, in playing football, collapsed on the field. Mm-hmm. So it really brought home, and thanks to David and Denise, his parents, they were also involved in one of our distributions, because it really brings it home that our students need to be protected. And if the schools are going out to these athletic meets, they should have one of these units with them. I guess, just a couple of weeks ago, we had a young lady who collapsed and there was nothing there to assist her, and unfortunately passed away. Mm-hmm. So our goal is to ensure that all our high schools have one of these units, because oftentimes the unit is the only one in the community, depending upon where the school is located. Mm-hmm. So our initial distributions were to schools in the rural areas, and to schools that probably did not have the assistance of alumni associations, and you had a greater need. But overall, our goal is to ensure that all the schools have a unit so that they have it on hand, God forbid, any such occurrence, happened.
And we want the minister and everybody and school boards to let them know that it's not a trophy piece.
Yes.
It's not to be placed in a cabinet. It must be out there.
Yes.
Very much so.
Coach or manager must have access to that. But that's so important, and it reduces the vulnerability, and it's just an act of great humaneness and kindness.
Absolutely.
Are they very, very expensive?
I'd say the $2,500 region. Yeah. And it's a significant. It's a gift that you hope that the person receiving don't have to use.
Never uses
it. No, but it's insurance, and it seems to me, Karen, that the alumni associations, that remarkable Ahuja and others listening to us wherever, they need to take this on as a project, because
they do, and they've assisted. My school, Immaculate, as part of Immaculate, we donated it, recognizing that we had the resources, so that Team Jamaica can use their funds for the schools that don't necessarily have the resources. Sure. And another thing to mention is that we give responsibly, in that we have a training session for the recipients of these machines. So we don't just hand it over. We bring down a team of nurses who conduct a training session, so they do know if the inevitable happens, if it happens, they know how to use it responsibly while they're waiting for, you know, an ambulance, etc. So we do the training as well for the units.
Tell me again about the fundraising function you have. Go to Eventbrite.
Eventbrite.
Sure.
It's Sunday, April 16th.
Yes.
Doors open at 11:30. It's the Crest Holler Country Club.
Where's that?
In Woodbury, Long Island. All of the information can be found on our website at www.teamjamaicabickle.org. You can also call our great leader here, Irwine, at 347-678-3546.
Good.
Eventbrite. And I also want to mention that our partner, Caribbean Foods Delight, is celebrating their 45th year.
Really?
And they, you know, the COVID, the pandemic, we kind of pulled back our operations a little bit, being responsible. But this year they're coming back full-fledged. They're going to be providing breakfast, lunch, and dinners. Again, they've been our partners for all 29 years, and they're celebrating their 45th year. So, you know, congratulations to them on their 45th
and indeed,
year.
gratitude from our end. And tell me now,
Absolutely.
roughly how many participants from Jamaica do you expect?
About 600 athletes and
Bless
coaches.
my soul, 600 Pearnel. 600.
Yes.
And by the way, this year, I won't say we're moving up to the east side because we've earned it. But normally we'd set up a tent there. This year we'll be operating out of the Palestra. The Palestra is where the University of Pennsylvania plays their basketball. It's the oldest basketball arena in the United States.
It's called the Cathedral of College Basketball. So that just tells you the importance
of Jamaica.
Of this.
You people boasting beyond words. Thank you so much for the work you do to lift up Jamaica and its people. Karen Wilson Robinson, thank you so much for your particular endeavor and for all that you've said today. And Irwine, my goodness, what a treat you give us on the Public Eye today.
Always. It's because we love our nation. And
indeed.
As a people, when we work together, big things happen.
Reciprocate all that.
Ronnie is concerned that you're attracting us to migrate.
No, sir. It's too cold here. It's very cold here. You do not want to be here.
Right. We'll leave that to you for now.
Until next week.
All the best. Nice to hear from you both. That's Irwine Clare of Irie Jam, our sister station in the tri-state area, beaming out of New York City, and Mrs. Karen Wilson Robinson, president of the Immaculate Conception High School Alumnae Association and vice chair of Team Jamaica Bickle. Can you imagine? Full provision, participation of meals, housing, everything, transportation for 600 Jamaican athletes and their accompanying staff. That's a big deal, you know.
And we didn't know this.
Yeah, no.
We are now able to express our appreciation.
And that's the bridge. That's the
Johnny,
bridge.
when you come back next week,
Yes.
I want to tell you of my concern that for 2 days things were very normal on the road.
After the law came into effect.
Ronnie, you see this motorbike thing?
Yes, sir.
We find 6 and 7 and 8 motorbikes
Yes, sir.
without helmet, riding behind another,
And that
overtaking.
tragedy.
That's what top up the other
Oh,
night.
Lord. Up in
And
the
I
hills.
saw it on the boulevard.
Yeah. Oh,
All over the place.
yes.
6, 7, 8, 10 motorbikes.
Posse.
No helmet.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
One behind the other,
Yes.
shirt flowing out.
Sure, man.
Well,
A big
can
man
we
things.
make an appeal to our brothers, our cab drivers
We
who
can.
just can't wait?
We can, sir, but you
And
know.
when they overtake you, catch them back, you know.
Yes,
So you don't save anything other than
No.
they threaten themselves.
indeed. And
The last thing I want to say to you, and I want you to help me on this. If I were in a cab and a man is driving like that, wouldn't I say, let me out?
yes, sir. Come out right now.
If I were in a bus, like the mini buses that are driving on the Mullines Road,
Yeah.
and they take the right-hand side of the road, and there's nobody inside there, everybody clapping, go there, boy, go there, go there. I am saying to you, brothers and sisters who are in this vehicle, you have a responsibility to say to the driver, don't do it that way.
I agree.
I'm paying you. Stay in the line.
And it's my life
Right?
that is at stake.
Because
as
this
well
was
as yours.
happening.
I do. But I have another. I just have to thank you for raising it because it is so acute. But why is it that very little emphasis is being placed upon the training of drivers and the retraining of drivers? whether they're motorcyclists or they're coaster buses or private taxis or you and me in our private cars.
You're a man who like to go to the courts, Why don't we seek an amendment?
Yes.
Why don't we, because the judges can say, look,
yes.
You
of course
must go and come back here with a certificate.
Yes. Indeed. Gotcha, sir. Good. That's what we do on the public eye. We make sure that we are always positive. We always have suggestions, even when we want to correct egregious wrongs. Thanks so much to our audience for their company here and abroad on the public eye. Thanks to all the people at the Bridge, Lafayne, Wigan, Romy, Jeffrey, the entire production team who make this possible. We look forward to joining you next week. Until then, stay tuned to the Bridge 99 FM.